I'm Jenny Thomas.
And I'm her friend, Ellie David. We decided to create a podcast that embodies what you would talk about with your closest friends.
So sit back and relax and put your headphones in.
Because you're listening to the Honestly Unfiltered Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Honestly Unfiltered Podcast. Ellie, how are you today?
Hi, Jenny. I'm doing pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, this hasn't been bad. This was a pretty good weekend. I was supposed to work Friday and I woke up. I was in the at the end of my period and it was doing the lovely, ever so lovely stopping and starting again thing that it does. And sometimes it'll happen during the day. And, those are those days that I say are my scary days. Am I going to stroke out? Am I going to have a heart attack? No, it's just my period. But it must have been happening, whatever that thing with my hormones that's happening was happening at night. So I woke up in the morning and I just felt wild. I had a massive headache. I was so dizzy, the brain fog, the whole bit. I just felt like, oh God, this is terrible. And I called off. I felt bad, but because I never do it that late, because I woke up around 5 and then I was trying to just kind of lay there and I must have fallen back asleep. So when I finally woke up again, it was because I took an Excedrin and it was 6:20 and I was like, oh my God, I was thinking about it. And I'm like, I didn't even think I could drive safely, honestly.
Yeah.
So I just, texted her and told her, I'm like, listen, I have a bad migraine, which wasn't a lie, but it wasn't just that. It was everything. But anyway, so she was very understanding. Thank God. I felt bad. She asked if I could work Monday a little while after that. A few hours later, she's like, are you okay? Are you doing better? And I'm like, I'm getting there. And she said, well, can you work Monday? I'm like, yes, if you won't be mad at me. So, but yeah, it was nice just to have the weekend off and Justin was off too.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just been doing Christmas decorating. We had the baby and Katie over today and did football and my mother-in-law is here. They decided kind of last minute to come Saturday, which is good, nice. We all just kind of hang out,
Yeah.
So it's been good. How are you?
I'm all right. I keep losing track of days. Wednesday, I didn't feel well either. And I was supposed to go into the office to work a half day because I took the afternoon off for a couple of appointments. I woke up in the same way, not feeling well. And I just couldn't wake up and get out of bed. I got up and I came and checked my work laptop and then I got pulled into a couple of emails. And before I knew it, it was 11 o'clock and I just worked from home.
Which is nice.
Yeah, which is nice that I can do that. Getting to the office is my biggest battle. If I can, on the days I can work from home, to be literally roll out of bed and brush my teeth and come and sit on my desk is just a miracle in itself because it basically saves me an hour and getting ready and then 20 minutes in a drive and walking up to my office and through, just the whole thing. But no, I really overdid it with cleaning the house and baking. I baked a pumpkin cheesecake.
Ooh.
And I did it in the spring pan, homemade, from scratch with graham cracker crust and it's called a water bath. And when I first read about it, I was like, water bath? I have to use bath water? What the fuck is this happening? What's happening? No. I'll just get the pre-made crust. Because normally I do. I'll get the pre-made graham cracker, but my grandmother used to make it the traditional way, and I've always wanted to do it. So I battled on Wednesday night Publix, and when I really wasn't, so I got all the stuff that I needed. And what you do is you bake, you put the ingredients all together in the mixer. And luckily, Harry left me a long time ago his all-in-one KitchenAid. So
nice.
I love it. It takes out because you just throw the stuff in there and walk away and it's mixing it.
Yeah.
And then you make the crust first and you bake it for 15 minutes, and then you put everything in the pan, and you have to wrap the pan in aluminum foil so that it doesn't leak, so water doesn't get in. The big roasting pan that I use for my turkey, you put that in there inside of it. So it's the little pan, the round pan inside of the big pan. And then you pour boiling water up to the sides, and you put it in the oven, bake it for an hour, I think, 350, 375, but it prevents it from cracking. Like when you bake a cheesecake, it cracks. And
yes,
I tell you, it was freaking amazing.
Oh my God. I'm not a sweets person.
Yeah.
But I love pumpkin anything. I'm that basic white girl, and I love it, love it, love it. I love pumpkin cheesecake. I think my sister makes a pumpkin cheesecake that she's pretty proud of. I don't bake. The only thing I really bake are Christmas cookies. I like to make Christmas cookies. I never get real fancy or, creative, but I love to cook. I cook constantly, but I've never gotten into baking because I'm not a fan of sweets,
Right.
Like I don't not like them. I'm salty, I want salt, that's just me. But I do. Oh, and Justin loves cheesecake.
Oh, I'll have to make him one too. Cause
yes.
Wyatt doesn't like pumpkin, so he didn't eat it. I ended up, bringing it over to Maria's because I know the boys there will eat cheesecake and they love it. And like I saved some for us, and I made Maria one of her gluten-free crust pumpkin pies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and she was like dogging it. Because she was so busy, she didn't have time to make anything like that for herself. So
right.
So that did me in, and then I cooked our turkey dinner yesterday. Mm-hmm. I woke up and I could barely walk. So
it kicks your ass, man.
It does. Cooking, well, especially with my hip,
Oh yeah, especially. That's even worse. It's crazy. I was having issues with my hip for the last couple of days. It's not bad. It's not horrible, but all of a sudden I think it's my hip.
Is it hurting your groin?
No, it hurts like on the outside, but when I'm walking, you know what I mean? Like not when I'm sitting, not when I'm just standing, but when I was actually walking, it was just a new thing for me. It was weird. Hopefully it's just, cause I don't know. I did something at work this week.
Yeah.
Oh, believe me, I will. But
well, for years, that's where mine hurt, was on the outside. And I always thought it was my lower back. And then,
which was also hurting. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And then this past year, it started hurting. It started to feel like I had a lack of range of motion. Like I always felt like my hip had a pop, like it was stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how, eventually they figured out it was my hip, because then it would hurt like in my groin area. It would feel like a gnawing toothache. But yeah, my shot's well worn off. So.
Oh shit. Yeah. This was the first Thanksgiving I'd had off in like 5 years.
Wow.
This would have been my 5th Thanksgiving working if I would have worked. I always sacrificed Thanksgiving and New Year's Day so I could have Christmas. So, I was excited. I'm like, all right, cool. Now, normally my husband and the kids go up to his family's, his aunt's house in St. Pete. She's the one that hosts for his family. So they would go do that. And I would record the parade. And Friday, I would pretend like it's Thanksgiving. And I would just do the whole thing. I love to cook Thanksgiving, dinner. And so what I decided to do this year, because I have to have my own food, because I am a turkey whore. I love leftovers. Yeah. Yes.
Even. Yes.
I want my turkey sandwich and my own stuffing with my gravy. And I want to go down hard for a couple days until my body is so swollen from all the salt and bread that I'm like, I can't move anymore. So yes, I'm that person. But to be fair, I also make enough for everyone. My mom, who doesn't cook anymore, Justin's mom and grandparents that are now, they all cohabitate together. If I can give them, I do. Whenever she comes, I try to load her up with whatever, to take home for them. My daughter and, her boyfriend and baby and his mom, so it's like I packed up care packages and my grandma. Yeah. So cooking is a love language for me. I mean, we know this. I feed everybody,
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, so Thursday when we got back from the Thanksgiving feast at his aunt's house. Okay. So 2 things. Number 1, before we left, my turkey was not done. Or I didn't think it was done.
Uh-oh.
Justin was like, listen, take it out. It was about 10 degrees shy of where it needed to be.
Okay.
And he said, listen, just put it back in. And then right before we leave, take it out for it. Keep it covered real tight. And that should do the trick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't buy it. I was not very confident in that plan, but we were out of time. We had to go. So I said, okay, we were only going to be a few hours. So I'm like, all right. And we were taking the baby and Katie came with us. So that was really cute. I'll have to send you some pictures. But anyway, so we get home finally a few hours later, probably about 5 o'clock. I go to have him carve the turkey. It's not done.
Oh boy.
Now I wait all fucking year for this turkey. Okay. And I bought a fresh turkey, so it wasn't even cheap. Okay. And I'm like, listen.
No, they were expensive this year.
They were. And I was fit to be tied. And he's like, don't worry, I've got this. So half my problem was, which I know now because of my period, I was all kinds of messed up emotionally too. And I was exhausted, but I was just obsessed with this turkey being completed before I could go to sleep. And it was like, no, it has to be right. So I went to bed way too late too, later than I normally would.
How much longer did it have to cook?
It took a minute. It was like a couple hours.
Oh my gosh, it was that shy.
And I was like, this turkey is going to be garbage. It's going to be the worst turkey. Let me tell you something. I think that was the best turkey we ever had. Even Justin is he's still talking about it. He's like, wow. I cannot believe how good that turkey was. It was insane. So anyway, I had made most everything on Thursday.
Yeah.
But on Friday, I hadn't made my ham yet, which, that doesn't take long. You're basically just heating it up, just a couple little things like that. So Friday, I put everything out, and, we had my nieces over and stuff too, spending the night. So we all ate my Thanksgiving food. But yeah, it's just hysterical that
that's funny.
the turkey that could. I think I can. It was insane.
We did ours yesterday because Wyatt and Ashton both worked on Thanksgiving, and Ashton was going to be off Friday, but he swapped so he can have Black Friday off. And then he was gone all day with his friend. I think it was a girl. He was like a date type thing, but he left at 8:30 in the morning. They went to Brandon. They went to Dave and Buster's. They went to UTC. I mean, God, he was exhausted when he got home.
Yeah.
And then and Wyatt
the
worked.
Bloody masses.
Yeah. So I knew they were both going to be home Saturday. And usually, Ashton's a picky eater. He doesn't eat.
Yeah.
He won't eat it. He's been trying new foods. When he's over at his friend's house and they make dinner, he feels rude telling them no. And they know he's a picky eater. So they've been making him it's their mission to make him try everything. And one night, he came home and he's like, what did he say? I had roast pork. And I was like, you ate roast pork. And he said, yeah, it was delicious. I'm like, you see what you've been missing out? Mm-hmm. So I asked him, I'm like, are you going to eat the turkey and stuff? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, all right, well, whatever. I said, and he left to go to his friend's house on Saturday. And I said, well, listen, I said, I'm, cooking today. I said, we're going to eat around 7. If you're going to eat with us, come home. If not, whatever. Well, I only made a turkey breast. I didn't make the whole. I made an 8-pound turkey breast. I didn't have it in me for the whole turkey.
Yeah.
So he texts me at 5:30 and says, "What time's dinner again?" And I said, "Probably 6:37." He's like, "All right, I'm on my way home. They're ordering Chinese food." He's like, "And I don't want that." I was like, "All right, well." So he comes home, and then good thing he did, because I needed a turkey baster. Like halfway through, I really needed to baste the breast, and I sent him to Ace Hardware, and he's like, I felt so weird asking where the turkey basters were. But
like, is this a prank? What is she doing to me?
And he was like, he said to the guy, he said, the guy looked at me weird. I said, my mom's in the middle of making our Thanksgiving today. And the guy was like, oh, okay. But no, I made the stuffing. Like my brother gave me the recipe too. Didn't make quite as much. I made like a quarter of what I normally do. And the mashed potatoes and everything. But, and I still like made the butter, the butter and the olive oil and all the spices. And I put it under the skin and, put it on the roasting pan. It was really good. It was probably a little overcooked, if anything. The meat wasn't dry. It was, just right. It could have been a little juicier, but
yeah.
Like when I stuck the thermometer in, it shot past 190 and it only needed to be between 160 and 180. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But it said 20 minutes per pound, and 8 pounds, it should have been 2 hours. The first thing I read said 375, but then I heard it sizzling in there and I was like, I think it's too high. And I looked and another one said 350. So I lowered it. So I think that might have done it.
Yeah, maybe.
So Ashton was like, I was pulling everything out and he's like, I just don't know about the mashed potatoes. He's like, they're a weird consistency. I'm like, listen, you're going to like them. So he's like, then he looks at the stuffing as I'm like pulling the pan out. He's like, so what is in that? I said, listen, it's basically bread. And so I there was a little piece stuck on the aluminum foil as I pulled the lid off. And I said, here, try this. And he puts a piece in his mouth and he goes, oh my God, that's delicious. I'm like, that's my boy.
Yeah.
And he sat there and he ate a big plate of food. And I was like, oh my God. Finally, you're eating my food. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like growing up, being exposed to the world and realizing, okay, I need to try to get outside of this a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, how many Thanksgivings that I've had to bring chicken nuggets for him to sit there and eat chicken nuggets like a sin?
When we first became close, I remember everything we did. You had his chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still. I mean, he's branched out in the last couple of years, but geez, like this morning, I made him an egg omelet and hash browns. And, normally he would never eat that. I mean, how many mornings was there breakfast that you guys made and eggs and hash browns and he wouldn't even touch it?
Well, that's good. It's awesome.
Yes, it's wonderful because he needs to eat healthy food. So
yes.
If I can get a vegetable in him, I'll be even happier. But at least
baby steps.
At least the stuffing had celery in it.
Yeah, you can sneak it in somehow. Yeah, the Black Friday, by the way, was so dumb. I mean, we didn't devote much time to it, but Justin and I did jump around a little bit just to see if there really was not great deals. It's kind of gone or something. I don't know. I'm not impressed.
I saw deals, but not anything. I did start shopping earlier, and I will tell you, and I can say this because my son does not listen to the podcast. I bought him a month ago. It was October 30th to be exact, on Amazon. I bought him the new AirPod Pro 2s.
Okay.
Because the AirPods he has now are 2.5 years old or whatever. He like me, he lives in them.
Yeah.
And I got the new ones when they came out, and he put them in his ears to try them, and he was like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. So I paid $255 for them at the time. Well, now they're everywhere for $199. I was pissed. And I got them on Amazon. So I did a text to customer service on Amazon. And I'm like, look, these are $55 less than what I paid for them not even a month ago. Can you price adjust them? And I was on the text thing for 20 minutes because at first they were like, sorry, we do our best to give the best prices. And no, we don't do that. And I was like, look.
Yeah, I didn't think they did.
Basically, they were like, send them back and rebuy them. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That's a pain. So I finally asked to speak to a supervisor, and she immediately got on, and she's like, I'm going to credit your account for $55. And I was like,
that's
thank
awesome.
you. Yeah, because that was great because I bought them then something else. So
yeah, they should. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not looking for anything like that.
Yeah.
which is probably what the best deals were. Like, the watches, the headphones, computers,
I saw a lot of good deals on computers.
Justin's always looking at that kind of stuff because he just loves it, but it's not something that we're really in the market for. But, I just remember Black Friday where, of course, the crazy Black Friday where it's like you're out at midnight shopping and, but that was nuts. Kind of fun, but nuts.
I'd prefer to do that than 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, actually I would too, but I don't know. I probably wouldn't. I take
Not
that
anymore.
back. But back in the day I did. But what it was cool is there'd be like, bins sitting around everywhere with $5 for a set of pajamas and $10 for that. You know what I mean? Like there was not that kind of stuff in my opinion.
No.
Walmart's been rolling things out slowly. Their thing this year was we're going to do every Friday or every week or something. They would have Black Friday deals leading up to Black Friday.
Yeah, I've been noticing,
like we got a new vacuum cleaner for $59. We basically buy disposable vacuum cleaners. No, hell no. It's a Hoover.
Okay.
But we're kind of at the place with the vacuum cleaners because we have a cat.
Yeah.
A lot of dust and cat hair and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, you know what? For $60, I'll just buy a damn new vacuum cleaner every year or every other year. Like we don't really care.
Now, my Shark I bought 7 years ago and I paid $120 for it. I had like a 30 or 40% off at Kohl's. It's still fine.
Really?
Yeah. It has lasted because we used to do that too. We buy a Dirt Devil Hoover, this, that, and we were constantly buying them. And this one I bought, and I was like, holy crap, it's still good.
I was eyeballing the Sharks because, Maria has the Shark too.
Yeah.
And she swears by it, and I'm not denying it. But I guess, yeah, I mean, $300 in one pop or $250 in a pop.
Mine was I paid $120 for it. So.
Which is an awesome deal. I don't ever see them that cheap, really.
If I see one, I'll send it to you next time.
Yeah. But
I also have the cordless Dyson, the pet one that I use more than I use my big one because only the bedrooms we have are carpet. And
well, I use mine on my tile and everything.
See, I use the Dyson on tile. I use it for the couches because the hair is just everywhere lately, and so I use that more than anything. And then I also love my Bissell cordless mop.
Yeah, I do want to get one of those.
Yeah, they make it's not cordless, but they do make a cordless one now.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's all we got for Black Friday, really.
I bought Ashton, and I know my husband doesn't listen to this, so he won't have a fit when he hears it. I bought Ashton another guitar.
Oh.
I got a really good deal on it. It was like a $700 guitar that I got for $299.
Okay.
And I got it for Sam Ash had it for that price, but I got another place to price match it. So, it's called a parlor guitar, which basically it's a smaller acoustic, and which is better to travel and take around. He has a Martin acoustic, and it's really big. He's a little guy, so and his hands are smaller. So this is just the neck is smaller and everything, and he really likes the PRS brand, Paul Reed Smith. So the electrics he plays nonstop. He said they are made for comfort to play.
Well, and he's so serious about this. It's not like it's some fad that he's gone through. I mean, he's very committed to his music and, guitar. And so it's an investment. Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, he can resell them at some point. But I've gotten him like a lot of little things. It's funny. Yesterday I slept till noon, which I never do. And when I woke up, like Wyatt was even up before me. He got up, but not long. He didn't get up. He got up maybe 11:30ish. And I come staggering out, and he looks at me and he's like, UPS came, Ashton put all the boxes in your office. And I was like, oh shit. Because I thought they were for him,
Yeah.
And it turns out only one was.
Oh shit.
It was all my stuff. Those boots I sent you, my Ugg boots.
Yeah, I saw those.
Yes.
I have not done anything.
That's usually me. I mean,
nothing. And I don't even know what to do. I mean, there's some little things that I know they want, but I honestly, I'm not even lying to you, Jenny. I am very close to telling Justin I'm buying Taylor Swift tickets.
You should.
I'm going to spend the money,
right?
Because they don't give a shit about anything else. They just want to go to that damn concert,
right?
So I'm still watching every day.
Yeah, I am
the other day, I did see some for $360.
Where were
a piece? Oh, the shittiest. I think they were near where you're at.
What night?
$360 Thursday. The 13th.
Mine are for Saturday.
Those are more expensive.
Yeah.
The cheapest night is the Thursday.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm so close to just saying screw it.
If I could sell mine, I'd rather go Thursday.
Well, listen, that they don't care about anything else. If I secure them tickets, they don't give a shit.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm watching it. We'll see. I haven't completely pulled the trigger yet. The other thing is with StubHub, I don't know. Can you do like pay in 4, or would I have to do it all at once?
TickPix does.
What is that? I haven't even been looking at that.
And I got TickPick. It's TickPick. We got Ashton's John Mayer tickets last year through that site. And
really, I didn't even know about it.
Yes, they were expensive. I'll send you a link. And we paid in 4 on them because they were very expensive. Rick Springfield's coming on the day I'm having my hip replaced.
Oh no.
And when I told that to Maria, she got hysterical laughing. And I looked at her, and because I was driving, and I looked at her, and I'm like, really, bitch? Why do you think this is so funny? And she goes, Rick Springfield's fans are old enough to have their hips replaced.
No.
You're just rotten.
Fuck you.
You're rotten.
So I see like kind of the cheapest is in your section.
Mm-hmm.
And it's $513. Yeah, so they're $513 each. So it's going to be more expensive through them probably, but you can pay in 4.
Right.
I don't know. I have not made up my mind. It's just something I'm mulling over. These prices are way higher than StubHub, so I don't know.
And StubHub might. Let me look. I know we're so veering off the path.
Well, it's just
there's a Game Time also. Game. Somebody told me they got one for $360 on that one.
Well, like right now, they have one for.
Here on Game Time. On Saturday night, the cheapest ticket is $444 near my section, and then on Thursday night, the cheapest ticket is $388 in section 318. So it's about.
Well, there you go. It's like when I break it down to what we will spend on them individually for gifts, we outdo that by a lot every year. So it just makes no sense to me to buy a bunch of stupid foo-foo shit that they don't really care about when they could get what they want. So, I mean, I'm still trying to give it a little time because I do feel like I'm seeing them come down a little bit, but I don't want to give it too much time and like not be able to get them, so.
You'll be able to get them. What you could also do is if you go through the Klarna app, it'll allow you to buy basically from wherever you want. You just put in the website, and it takes you to it. It takes you to it.
Or I wonder if PayPal, because
maybe
Justin uses PayPal too.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So yes, let's get back onto the path. So I was thinking we could use Black Friday to kind of lead into the Balenciaga nonsense. This was their Christmas ad. Don't know if you knew that.
I haven't really read a whole lot on it, but I would really like to know what the fuck they were thinking,
Well, I've heard now that they have that they have filed a lawsuit against so apparently this firm that handled the whole campaign is outside of Balenciaga. And they're saying that they didn't approve this campaign, but I don't believe that at all.
I don't believe it. I've read too many conflicting things on that.
Yeah. And then it turns out I heard another report about the children that were in the ad they are Balenciaga employees' children.
What?
And I'm like, what? So essentially, if you don't know about this, Balenciaga has a line of, well, apparently children's apparel, which I didn't even know about, but they created these handbags that are bears dressed in BDSM apparel.
Which is completely screwed up in its own right.
Which are not allegedly, they're not for children, but they had the children posing in the ads with them. But when you see these pictures, they're haunting. I mean, it looks like they've been kidnapped and they're held for ransom.
Mm-hmm.
There was other little things in the, there was papers around and things written that were referencing child porn cases where someone was arrested, like, the Duggar kid that was arrested for child porn. There was a reference to that in the ad.
Okay.
It's just insane. It's wild. I have no idea where they were going with this. And the big question right now is, are celebs, especially celebs like Kim Kardashian, who is one of their biggest representatives right now and has signed this huge deal with them, she has said nothing, absolutely nothing. Now, she might not be allowed to. She's under contract, whatever. But it's like, what the hell? I mean, some celebs have, definitely denounced and come out, but it's just, I don't understand where they were going with it. Everything I'm seeing, I keep trying to, okay, well, were they was it like a thing to come out against this sort of behavior? Like, nothing makes sense other than they were trying to be salacious.
Right.
And get attention in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
But for me, the line is with children. There is no gray area. I draw the line at children. You don't involve children in any sort of thing like this, And when it comes to sex and sex crimes and porn or any of that, there's just absolutely no place. I don't care, I don't care. I don't care what your deal is. So right here in the New York Post, it says Balenciaga files $25 million suit against producers of controversial BDSM teddy bear ad campaign. They're seeking redress for extensive damages defendants caused in connection with an advertising campaign Balenciaga hired them to produce. Balenciaga claims North 6 and Des Jardins included the images of the court docs without its knowledge. So that's one of the things it was court documents, I think, for the Duggar kid. Man, not kid. Legal document from U.S. Supreme Court decision on child porn laws. Okay. So they're saying they didn't get approval for that. So what? You did approve the kid standing there with a BDSM teddy bear?
Right.
Handbag? I mean, as a result of defendants' misconduct, members of the public, including the news media, have falsely and horrifically associated Balenciaga with the repulsive and deeply disturbing subject of the court decision. Defendants are liable to Balenciaga for all harm resulting from this false association. We sincerely, and this is Balenciaga, we sincerely apologize for any offense our holiday campaign may have caused. Our plush bear bags should not have been featured with children in this campaign. We have immediately removed the campaign from all platforms. No. We strongly condemn abuse of children in any form. We stand for children's safety and well-being. Whatever, dude. Like, in the climate that we're in, especially with Hollywood being under probably the biggest attack ever in history, where finally people are coming out. It starts all the way from the Harvey Weinstein and the Me Too and all that. And then more and more child actors coming out and talking about how they've been either abused, actually, physically, sexually abused, or at the very least sexualized.
Right.
At a very young age. And, we're trying to, turn this corner with the culture. And, and then it's like, I just don't understand a human being on this planet that doesn't see this being problematic.
And it's in poor taste. Even if anything, it's in very poor taste.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no excuse for it. I hope at some point, I mean, Kim hasn't said anything, but she's been rocking the shit out of the Balenciaga. She hasn't stopped. So I don't know. I mean,
it's so hard to,
I'm glad they immediately took it down and apologized and, didn't waste any time with that. But it's like, don't tell me that it was not approved.
Right. Exactly.
By the company. But I mean, for them to file a lawsuit, that's definitely a big, it's making me question like what the hell's going on, but
I don't know. It's completely messed up. Whatever it is, it's definitely, but somebody had to approve it before it went live. That's thing.
That's what I'm saying. I don't get it.
Somebody's eyes laid on it. Granted, if the photos leaked and they weren't used, I could see where they may have never approved it, but to actually put it in an ad.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting fired over that.
Somebody fucked up.
Somebody
big
fucked
time.
Up. Yeah.
It's been a very busy week for court cases, and that brings us into the Chrisleys.
Ooh.
I'm dying to talk about this. This has rocked my mind.
Well, I've always heard whisperings that he was shady. And it's no secret that he filed bankruptcy years ago. For anybody that doesn't know, Todd and Julie Chrisley just stood trial. Well, actually, no, it was June. They were convicted, I think.
Yes.
Of wire fraud, tampering. Let me look it up.
Yeah, I had it right here. They were they were tried and convicted of fraud and tax evasion. In June, they were convicted of conspiring to defraud banks out of more than $30 million and evading taxes for several years. And it's my understanding, which I haven't done a deep enough dive, but they used Nanny Faye, I believe.
They used a shell company also.
Okay.
They used a shell company. But here's the thing. And I know this is why they think this is why they think they're being treated unjustly. A representative from the IRS testified that they owed back taxes. They don't. All of their tax returns are current.
Okay.
So, there's lots of ways to hide money legally, as I can tell you from being in that world.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a skewed system, and you can take many tax credits and depreciation. Well, you could write out depreciation for years. And
right.
That's the biggest one right there. You buy a new truck, you got $20,000 at least coming off of your income, in taxes. And if you have that kind of money where you're buying these new cars every year, these Range Rovers, even more. So, that's one thing that they're sticking on. But legal experts also say that the other evidence was just so compelling. Now, the accountant that rolled on them that claims he had an affair with Todd, he's doing some time as well, not nearly as much.
Which seems weird to me. Like he's the one that was helping them figure it out.
He was the one they claim he was the one that was filing the applications and applying for all of these things on their behalf. And they claim to not didn't realize what was going on. And when they did realize it, they fired him. Right. That's their story. Do I believe it? No. An accountant only has so much power.
So I really love the Chrisley show. I was a big fan from Jump. I know it's super scripted and all that, but it's just, I love the Southern charm. And but I found out right after we started watching it the very first season, my husband's grandfather and grandmother, who we're very close with, bought a home in Westminster, South Carolina, because that's where they grew up. And they wanted a family home there for all of us to be able to vacation and do the reunions up there. And we've been going for years. Well, his grandfather informed me that he grew up with Todd Chrisley's father.
Oh, wow.
And and he knows all of them.
Nanny
He's met
Faye?
Todd, Nanny Faye. They've gone on cruises together.
Wow.
Not him and Todd, but him and Todd's father before he passed away, and Nanny Faye. And, you know, they grew up together. So that just made it even more interesting to me, because I'm like, that's cool, you know, and he was watching it too. And, you know, it was like just a fun little fact, you know. So, and I can tell you, the people in that area are just the salt of the earth. They truly are. Mm-hmm. And what I was seeing on the show reminded me of the people there.
Yeah.
You know, do I think that, am I shocked that they would do this? No, because we've seen it so many times with celebrity. Once you gain celebrity and you feel this, you know, whatever entitlement and the need to keep up with the Joneses and keep up appearances, and, you know, are they the only ones doing it? Hell no. We got an ex-president running around that's done way worse and way more and still has not been convicted. So that just gives people like this even more entitlement to think, hey, I can get away with it too. So I'm not surprised. What was shocking was the sentencing. I mean, they really threw the book.
Here's where they screwed up. And this is where they got them. They overstated their income to apply for all of these lines of credit. And then when they filed bankruptcy, the banks went back and looked at everything and saw that they didn't really have that income that they stated to obtain the loans to begin with. So they obtained the credit cards, the loans, and all of that fraudulently. If they wouldn't have filed bankruptcy and they would have just kept paying,
they wouldn't have gotten in trouble.
Which they could have. From what I understand, they filed for bankruptcy well before the show started. But when you're filing for bankruptcy with that high amount of money and you still live a certain lifestyle, it's going to get looked at a little closer.
Yeah.
Now,
for sure.
I agree with the sentencing. That shocked me. What that leads me to believe is there's a lot of things, because it was a closed court case, that we just don't know about. And it has to be like some sort of gross negligence, like the shit they must have done was appalling. Because, and I know you don't follow the Housewives, you know, off on Bravo, and I really don't either. Joe and Teresa Giudice.
Yes.
They were in a very similar situation. Mm-hmm. And they filed for bankruptcy. It came out later that Joe, the husband, applied for these loans, overstated the income, same exact thing. Now, the wife got, Teresa, as we know, I think it was supposed to be 2 years minimum security. She ended up doing less than a year. And then they staggered the sentencing because they had the little children, so that she went first. And then when she got back, it was a little bit of time, and then he went. And as we know, his was like longer, like 3-4 years. And then because he was not an American citizen, he was here on a visa. He never applied for citizenship because he probably felt he didn't have to. ICE immediately took him into custody when he was released.
Yeah.
And then he voluntarily left the country. So seeing that case and seeing this is pretty much identical, whereas Todd got 12 years, she's getting 7 years. They're going to have to go together. They're raising the little child. Grayson's still a minor. He's 16, just got into that horrible car accident.
I know. Savannah got guardianship.
Did she?
Yes.
Of both
she
children?
has secured guardianship, of both of them. Because they're raising their granddaughter.
Right.
As their daughter, Chloe. Yeah. And then, there's Grayson, who's, I think, 16. And Savannah got guardianship.
What floors me, though, and I think this probably has a lot to do with the sentence that was handed down, if this is truly the attitude that was in court, is that there is no remorse there.
No. No ownership at all.
No ownership at all. That podcast that you sent me that Julie did on Savannah's podcast, where she said, I can't see that God would send me this child to raise if he's going to take me away. That made me sick. I wanted to vomit, throw my phone, and send her a loaded email.
Yeah.
And tweet.
I agree.
Because,
Don't bring God into this. God sent you that child
free will.
And you screwed up.
God didn't make you forge overstay your income and buy that Range Rover and the mansion in Nashville and all the clothes that Todd has. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You have free will. Don't put this on God.
Well, come on. It's not the first time we've heard that, you know.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm sure they're still playing the game, hoping that there'll be some kind of last minute miracle, Hail Mary. But I don't see how that will happen for them. No. And I agree. I think, and the judge said that. She said a big part of her sentencing so heavily, and to the extent that she did, was that lack of accountability or remorse. And that's what she said in the closing statement or whatever. And it's like, look, maybe there is something to, some of what you're saying, and maybe it's not all what we think it is, but you did do something to act like you were just completely unaware and had no idea what was happening. There's no way, so, it still hurts my heart for the kids. I mean, period. I mean, for all their children, even their adult children. And it's like, what a sad, sad thing to think of your parents being away from you for that long. Savannah's life will be altered forever. And
Nanny Faye is not getting any younger. You know, does she have 12? I mean, I don't know how old she is, but
she's up there, because I know my husband's grandparents are close to 90 years old.
Yeah. I mean, the chances
and they
that
were
she's
in that
be
same
alive
kind of,
are slim. Yeah.
So but to me, it's just another case of extreme greed.
It is,
extreme greed and entitlement, 1000%. And it's like, look, you got it. The jig is up, people. I mean, they're catching these people left and right. It's like, if you're thinking about doing any of this kind of nonsense, don't, it's, I don't know, sad, but
the show was immediately canceled. Although from what I understand, they have filmed some episodes that will air this year up until this point. Do you know if Chase and Savannah's show was canceled?
It has been.
Theirs have been too, which is a shame for them. Because,
it is, because that's a big source of income.
Yeah, especially if Savannah now has to raise the kids.
But it's like, what are the networks supposed to do?
Yeah.
It's like, you can't sit there and now, granted, if it was set up to where it was only Savannah and Chase benefiting from it, I think people would embrace it, just because it's not their fault. We all kind of collectively feel bad for the kids, but
yeah. And that's kind of how the Housewives kind of wrote it in to their show. They showed Joe raising the kids on his own and Teresa calling in to check on them and vice versa. So, I mean, if anything, for Chase and Savannah's sake, I would say that, I mean, granted, are they spoiled, rotten? Probably. I don't think they've had it all that easy with Todd as a father.
No.
So, and Chase just got engaged.
Yeah. And again, they had nothing to do with this,
no.
So it really is awful to punish, but I'm sure it's a legality thing. Now, maybe they can come back with something completely separate from Todd. It could be where Todd has this all on lock.
He probably wouldn't give up a produce credit or any kind of income from it.
Right. So they'd have to somehow do it without him, and maybe that'll happen.
Yeah.
And I hope it does. Now, I wonder, what kind of prison are they going to be in? Is it going to be like
it'll be minimum security.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I think they're both going to be in Pensacola.
Really?
That's
when do they have to go? When do they have to report? Has it been said yet?
I believe January 15th.
See, now, anybody else not on this celebrity status would have been taken immediately from the courtroom.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have be able to ride it out in their mansion. So they're lucky.
I don't know.
Aspect.
Some it just depends. It depends on what you're actually being convicted of. I think with something like this, it's not like a violent crime, so there are, but yeah, I mean, imagine the torture that's going to be from now till then. I mean, for everyone. And, so I'm praying for all of them. We've got, listen, a lot of injustice in this world.
Yes, there is.
This is not one of them,
there's,
which,
granted, what they did was wrong. There's a lot of bigger fish to fry in this world.
Which would give me, if you don't mind, a perfect way to lead into something that is total injustice and really still weighing on me so heavily is Brittany Griner, who is still in a Russian prison unjustly. She has been transferred to a penal colony, which is a nightmare scenario. And we just need to get her home. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm praying for her and her family. It's heart-wrenching to think of what could be happening to her. I just hope and pray. She's such a superstar over there. And for those of you that maybe don't know, she's a WNBA star, and she's had to play overseas like a lot of the women do to make money because they're very underpaid here. So she has been playing there, I think, for 9 years. And, she is very loved. I mean, she's like a superstar big time over there. So I'm just praying that whoever, that will help her in prison. I'm hoping.
What was she sentenced to? Or has she been?
9 years. 9 years. And, I'd like to note for any of you out there that, oh, well, she should have known better. And listen, she is a gay Black woman, and she is being unjustly incarcerated because of that. It happens all the
time.
And there are many cases, and feel free to Google them, of young white women and men that had way more drugs on them that were either sentenced to extremely minimal sentences or sent directly home and not sentenced at all. There's clear evidence that this is based on who she is.
Well, and
as a gay Black woman.
There are a lot of, there's someone I knew of. It happens. It happens in Africa too, in these countries where it's against the law to be gay. And they will slip drugs in their bags to arrest them, to find a reason to arrest them.
Yes. And, this was cannabis oil that was prescribed to her that she forgot that it was in her bag. It was literally like a mistake. She forgot about it. They stopped her. She admitted.
Coming home? Was she coming?
She was coming. I believe she was going home.
Okay.
But I could be wrong about that. And yeah, with the Ukraine war and everything that the US was doing to give the middle finger to Russia and help Ukraine, this is just, she's basically a political prisoner, in my opinion.
From what I understand, Russia wants to do, we have someone that they want.
We do. And my understanding was that was something that we were willing to do, was to trade off. He's basically a spy that, we caught here. He did some awful shit too, but I'd have to go back and look. But Paul Whelan is also being detained. He was arrested on espionage charges in 2018, which he has denied. And he was convicted and sentenced to 16 years in 2020. And I don't know enough about his case, but I do know that, he's maintained his innocence. The proof is not there to be consistent with how he was sentenced. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're U.S. citizens. It doesn't matter. If we have a citizen anywhere, let us jail them. If that's what we need to do, then that's fine. But they need to be home, and we will deal with them. So anyway, I just want to keep saying her name because that's something that she keeps telling her wife, is that she, really, she's struggling with hope and feeling like people are forgetting her.
Right.
And I'm sure Paul Whelan feels the same. So I just want to say their names to whoever might hear it.
It's sad. It's just a sad. Unfortunately, in other countries as well, the legal systems aren't what they are here. And unfortunately, in a lot of these countries, you're guilty before proven innocent. I mean, Italy is one. Also, I mean, look at Amanda Knox. Was that her name?
Yeah.
Now, Amanda Knox and her boyfriend that were tried for murder, and then ultimately, I don't think they have like a double jeopardy thing there, or is that what it's called, where they can try. I think they can try you multiple times, even if you've been convicted innocent, because she was somehow was able to get out, and she came right home, and then they did another trial and convicted her guilty again, and they wanted her back, but we're not extraditing her. Right. Granted, I've seen the evidence in that case and I've read a lot about it. I'm not so sure she's not guilty.
That's a tricky one. Yeah.
But regardless, from what I understand, the legal systems in a lot of these countries aren't, what we have here. So,
to be fair, we imprison people from other countries here.
Yeah,
too.
We do. I mean, we do.
But we have a different justice system in the United States, and we have protections for criminals. I mean, we have a lot of protection for the criminals. So, that's the thing. We're dealing with a different animal. Even a country like Italy, they're not barbaric.
No.
These penal colonies that she's going to be put into, if she already is in one, it's like some shit out of 1920 Nazi Germany bullshit. Like, it's bad. It's really horrible. And they go out of their way to turn people against each other and make the prisoners, do all kinds of shit to each other. It's really bad. It's really bad. And, it just breaks my heart, that it's happening. And I don't know why this one has grabbed me so much. I think I've talked about this before, but just being the mother of a young woman that identifies as a lesbian, and she was an athlete her whole life. And so maybe there's something there where I just, as a mom, just,
identify with it. Just
hurt. Yeah. Identify with it. But, I'm going to keep doing what I can. I know it's not big, but, I guess if enough of us keep talking about it, maybe it will just, get things moving. I don't know.
There's a lot of countries. I know there's a lot of countries I would like to visit. And, my husband has said to me, no. And I'll be like, why not?
That sounds like Justin.
And he'll say, because you can get in, but you might not get out. And if something goes wrong where you and I might not be doing anything wrong and they think you're not coming home. You're being detained permanently. So
yeah, and it's
especially in communist countries, which Russia says they're not anymore. But this is
bullshit. Yeah, right. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, the reality here is that she was there to make money, and as in the United States, we don't pay our women athletes.
Well, there's a reason but there is a reason for that as well. It's not necessarily
what you're gonna say.
Well, no, it's not. No, it's not necessarily the owners. The women athletes do not fill the stands as much as they don't get the airtime. They don't get the endorsement deals. They don't get the advertising dollars. So they don't make as much to pay those athletes the same amount.
Which I can get behind a little bit. But when you're talking about a female WNBA star getting paid $100,000 a year compared to $44 million, you're telling me we can't do better than that?
But you don't know insane. What is the team that team bringing in versus what the
have a WNBA?
Well, why even play then if that's what you're not going to make?
But what I'm saying is, why even have it? It's doing something for their bottom line.
Yes, but you can't pay it. But you can't pay an athlete millions of dollars if that's not what you're bringing in.
No. But I'm saying that big of a disparity between...
What they need is more people to support those sports. and go see them and fill the stands.
But they're also not putting the support behind them that they're putting behind the male athletes, period. They're not. I mean, they're not putting the advertising money behind
because no one's going to see them. And that's,
but that doesn't change unless they put the money up front to make it change. You know what I'm saying? My thing is there's got to be something in it for the NBA.
Well, look at the Tampa Bay Rays.
To have them.
They don't pay their athletes as much as the Yankees or the Red Sox or any of the other big market teams because they're not a big market. When you go to a Rays game, half those seats are empty. So they can't pay, but they can't pay those athletes. That's why the Rays are like a farm team. What?
They can pay them.
They don't.
But they're not going to.
No, they don't have it.
These are billionaires. They have it.
It's dollars and cents. It's you don't see it, but it is because the Rays aren't like the Yankees. They're not filling the stands like they are. They don't have the thing of it.
That's one thing, but those men are still getting paid millions and millions.
Not on the Rays compared. The star pitcher on the Rays does not. No, the star pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays does not get paid. The star pitcher. They all have to leave to make that money.
That's
Dave
one
Justice.
Team.
They all leave, but it's the same comparison.
It's
the same. Yes, it is. You can't tell me it's not.
But then don't call them the WNBA. They should be a completely different league. They've lumped them in with the NBA.
But they're okay. So if you call them something else, but they're still going to make the same amount of money.
Look, the NBA isn't an organization onto itself.
I agree.
And my thing is, you can't tell me that you can't pay these women even $500,000, and it's called. You have to share. You have to share the freaking money. And come on, this is ridiculous. We can't be protecting billionaires over the little guy.
But it's a team. But each team, the Miami Heat does not have a WNBA team. They're not owned by the same people.
They're the NBA.
It doesn't matter. Each team is paid, but each team owner. I get that. So each team makes its own money. The league has nothing to do with it.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Okay,
I'll send you some info.
Okay,
it's not true. I've looked into this, and I'm just saying, it's happening across the board in every industry. That's just the big.
It's happening in industries, but for sports, that's the main one.
Okay, well, women's soccer went to court and they won because legally they backed them up.
Because they're probably filling the stands.
Well, they were, and they were still getting paid less.
But at the WNBA, they're not filling the stands.
Well, the bottom line is that I don't agree that it should be okay. You can't tell me that they're not making money off these women. They wouldn't exist. They would not exist.
But they're not household names like the NBA players are.
Because they don't spend the money to make that happen. Period. That's just the reality. And that's how it is with women's sports. The women's soccer teams were filling the stadiums. They were bringing in all the money.
It's a different animal.
Not the men's.
Soccer is different.
They still weren't paying them.
But that's
different. They had to literally take them to court.
But that's not the NBA. That's not the WNBA. That's the soccer league.
It's the same idea that it's the same value put on women versus men in sports. They were getting away with it for so long.
If they were owned by if they were under the same umbrella of the same team owners and they were sharing the same revenues, I could agree. But they're not.
I think you should do a little more research on that because there's a lot more to it.
Fine, I'll look it up and send
I'll
let you know.
I've looked into it.
I have researched it.
To me, it's wrong. That's my opinion. It's wrong.
Okay, well, you can. It needs to change. I agree it should change, but I'm just saying that you can't.
To me, it's kind of like, I don't know.
It's kind of like it's like if you work for a small business and you leave to go work for a corporation, the corporation can pay you more because they have more revenue.
Right. I get that.
It's the same concept.
But the NBA is the organization. There are separate teams.
But the NBA does not pay. They do not pay their salary. The teams do.
They don't.
So it has nothing to do with it.
they can change the way that it's regulated. They can change.
They can't make them pay more.
They can
pay out of what they have.
Yeah, they can.
Then you're going to then you'll end up shutting down the league.
A lot of these owners own more than one team. A lot of these owners have stakes in other teams, including the female teams.
But they're separate corporations. There's separate corporations.
I'm just saying, I look out for the little guys, not for the wealthy.
You, but I agree with you. But you can't.
My thing is,
you can't take blood from a stone.
They're not stones.
It's like if I work for 7-Eleven and that 7-Eleven and the owner owns a 7-Eleven and a Circle K, but I work for 7-Eleven and get paid $10 an hour, but Circle K pays $20 an hour because it makes more. I can't demand that 7-Eleven pays me what Circle K is making because so it's the same concept.
Well, that's just big corporate. That's corporate.
I'm just saying as an example.
Thing.
This is a corporate thing also.
It is. It's the NBA. That's the corporation, is what I'm saying.
We'll agree to disagree on this one.
Well, again, I'm sorry that you had to go to Russia for 9 years to play just to make a living wage. I hope that changes so that females that have worked their entire lives to craft at a sport and be at the very top of that sport get recognized, especially in this country. Because guess what? Other countries are recognizing them and paying them millions of dollars.
Right.
So they have more value in the female athlete.
Because it's a different animal and they get behind it and they fill their stand.
Exactly. They put the money behind the women in those countries and those women have more opportunities, which is what we need to start doing, in my opinion. Let's put some more effort into that.
And what it comes down to is people need to go see them because
absolutely.
And they need to have TV airtime. I can't remember the last time I saw a women's basketball game on NBC.
Exactly. And guess what? That costs money.
Into it. And they're not putting the dollars into it. They're not putting the game on NBC because NBC doesn't want to take the slot because it's not going to bring in viewers and it's not going to bring in advertising dollars.
I disagree with you. I think it will. But we have to put value on it. Those dollars that need to come in, that's the statement. It's saying, hey, we believe in this. We want to promote our women.
But some of those games are
pay for this.
They know because some of those games are on cable or they're on ESPN from time to time. They know what the viewership is.
It could start with college even. College basketball is huge, right? Do you see women's college basketball on TV or do you see the men? You see the men.
Right.
These are unpaid athletes.
Right.
So why aren't we seeing the women?
Well, then that comes down to the networks.
But that's what I'm saying. It starts. It's that.
But it has nothing to do with the league itself or the owners. The owners can only pay them what the owners can only pay them what they get as far as marketing dollars and this and that.
But when you're talking, when you're talking about college athletes that are not being paid, so it's apples and oranges, whatever. I mean, they're both in both female and male, both in college, both playing. Why aren't we promoting the women? And then why are we encouraging them to go as hard as they can to be a part of the WNBA, only to just drop them like a bad habit? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not saying that, you shouldn't have to bring in dollars, to make the money. I'm not saying that a woman that's not filling the stand should make the $40 billion, but you can't tell me that 40 million compared to 100,000 makes any sense. And that's what some of these women are making. That's my whole thing is, I don't know exactly how to fix it, but it's wrong. It shouldn't be happening this way is my point.
Right.
I'm not a freaking mathematician or whatever, but there's got to be a way to make it a more level, arena for them.
Right.
They've worked just as hard.
Well,
They've had to make the sacrifices.
I agree.
It's like, I could see if they were getting paid even, like I said, $500,000, and then if they're going overseas, it's like, well, but I don't know. I feel very passionately about this. I can't help it.
And I understand.
Maybe it's all the years that I watched my girls break bones, tear their bodies apart kill themselves.
And I understand,
sport.
and I see it I see it from a numbers perspective because that's what I do, you know.
Well, I guess I just get so pissed about, you know, I'm tired of, it's like, oh, the poor billionaire can't afford it. You know, it's like, listen, none of these people that own any of these teams are sad sacks. And that includes the people that own the WNBA teams. These are ultra wealthy people. So it is not hurting their bottom line to up the ante and give these women what they deserve. Period. And that's a fact. Period. So, I mean, that it's not a good excuse at all.
You have to remember at the end of the day, it's a product. Those women, the men, those are products that are being put on the field. And the product has a value. Just like anything in a store. It has a value.
I agree. But it doesn't change unless we change it.
Right.
You know, so it's like, yes, do we need to fill the seats and make this a bigger, you know, money maker and all those things? Yeah, of course, I get it. You want to make money. I totally understand that. Capitalism, woohoo. But you have to help them get there.
Right.
These people are not advertisers. They're not in the business, you know, behind the scenes. They're just the athlete. They're hoping that you're going to look out for them and help that happen for them. And it's not happening.
Right.
And I don't know exactly why. I
just told you why. No,
I don't know why they're not putting more money into them is what I'm saying.
Because they're not getting a return on it. Because they're not getting a return.
They haven't done it yet. They haven't done it. So they haven't been able to even try to get a return.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to go to NBC and say, hey, how much will it cost for me to make sure that, you know, this much time is spent on women's college ball this year or the WNBA? What are we talking here? You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have those conversations. The owners have to get together and go, hey, what do we need to do to get these women's faces out there?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's my opinion.
Right.
It hasn't happened yet. So you can't say there's not a return until you try it. Then if there's no return, there's something, but there's a reason that there's still a WNBA. There's something.
Right.
I don't know what, but there's something. I don't even watch basketball, people. Okay. Just so you know, like I don't even fucking like basketball. I am a crazy person when it comes to how women athletes and male athletes are treated differently. And I've watched it for years with my own kids.
I mean, I understand that because I have dealt with that in my entire life in where I've worked and what I've done. So I get that. I'm a woman in the business world, accounting. You don't think I make less than the men? Of course I do.
Of course you do.
So I understand that.
Yeah.
But
we all do. Yeah. We're all affected by it. We're all affected by it as women. But that's why I fight so hard. It's like, listen, you know, watching my kids, for instance, being so excited that they made the team in high school, right? Like, that's awesome. That's so cool. They don't even open the concession stand for the girls. They wait for the boys, you know, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know,
that's on a school board level. Yeah. It has to start somewhere.
And it's little, but it's misogyny. Right. It's misogyny that's so ingrained in our culture.
Yeah.
That there you go. You know, right. So it's the little subtleties like that, you know, it drives me up the wall. And then you watch them go through everything that they go through to make it to that peak, you know, of whatever success, only to really not be successful. And honestly, I think it's an embarrassment to the United States. It's embarrassing that our athletes have to go somewhere else to another country to be celebrated.
But there are men that have to go overseas as well. There are men
not the ones that, well, they do, but they're normally the ones that are like an arena, that sort of thing, that they haven't gone all the way. You know what I mean? So that's a little different. But if you make it all the way, it's like, damn. Now, again, like you said, each team, I mean, you know, and it depends on who you are on the team. Just because you make it to an NFL or an NBA team doesn't mean you're going to be the $44 million guy, you know, and there are some that are making less money. But to have no one that's a star that way in the women's arena, that's where I call them out. You know, there should be at least a couple that are breaking a little something off. Like, come on. Anyway, that's all I'll say about that.
All right. Well, on that note,
free Brittany Griner.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, yeah, check out our website. We've got some merch up for sale. Use the code HU2022 for 15% off. Floating around.
We do have another. Well, I don't know if we're going to post it, but another podcast we're going to do. I don't know if you want to do a double whammy or.
I'd rather wait till we have it confirmed before we announce it.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Fair enough.
All right. Yeah, we have a couple we're working on this week, but we want to make sure they're both confirmed before we say anything.
Yeah.
On those. So. Anywho, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. And if you made it this far, sorry for the last 15 minutes, and thank you for listening.
Hey, we're spirited, okay? Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, we're not always going to agree. It's fine.
No, that's why I think it'd be boring if we did.
I think it would be too.
Yeah. Don't worry, we're separated. We're still in one piece.
We're 40 minutes away from each other.
Everybody's saying
she can't reach through the phone and choke me.
Never. I would never.
All right, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye.